the mid-1880s, when there was the Canberra riots. And in more than 1 year, in the early 1880s, there was an attempt at suppression of African culture. And there was fear of the liberation capacity of African people. So they started to try to take away from the culture. And one of the things that the colonial authorities did was they banned the African drum. African people were banned from beating African drums in Trinidad. When that happened, we went into the bamboo patches and cut out different lengths of shoots of bamboo and created a percussion instrument called the tambour bamboo, which was a forerunner to the steel pan, which was created out of the drums that oil was being stored in. But after the Canberra riots, there was an attempt to suppress this African Liberation Festival of Canberra, and it was moved from August to the 2 days before Ash Wednesday, Monday and Tuesday, and it was mixed with the French Catholic elements of Carnival. And because of the fear of the African liberation festivals, the ceremonies, the calypso music, the beating of African drums, the stick fighting, the chantwells, the calendars, the gael, the spoken word artists, the griots and the midnight robbers and the peregrinades. That was the richness of African culture, which was a vehicle for the ideas of liberation. And the whites were afraid of it. And so they banned elements of it and forced a merging in between what the French white Catholics were practicing, Carnival, and what the Africans were practicing, Canboulay. So now, most of the Carnival featured the elements of the Canboulay. The French whites, they didn't have the calypso music. They didn't beat African drums. They didn't have the same kind of spoken word tradition. They weren't doing the stick fighting. They didn't light the flambeaux. All they did was the masquerades. So everything else from Canberra was brought in and has been now rebranded as Carnival. So the Juve celebration has now incorporated the Canberra Festival in it. And it is a festival that features the intellectual property of African people. Now, my question to us Trinidadians, especially those of us who are Trinidadian before we're African. If the Central Statistical Office, in giving a 1 year estimate, that in a 3-week period, approximately 40,000 tourists visit Trinidad and spend an estimated $334 million in 19 days, which represents approximately less than a quarter of what is spent for Carnival. So you're looking at an annual intake of approximately $1.2 billion for Carnival. Approximate $1.2 billion spent for Carnival. Okay, Trinidadians, who makes that money? Where does $1.2 billion go? That's 1,200 millions. And you have pan men getting a little $2,000-3,000. You have one person, one Calypsonian getting $1 million. You have so many persons in this art form throughout the year struggling to make ends meet. You have producers of the culture throughout the year having to drive taxi, work at CPEP or URP, sell food, apply for some grant, some welfare, social security, and they are the ones behind an industry that creates $1.2 billion in 3 weeks. But this is where our blindness comes in. For as long as it's Hadid, Sabga, and Abood who are making all the money, it's okay for the African entertainer to get a little $400 here or $800 there or a few thousands here and there. No, beloved. Michael B. Jordan is an African man. The carnival celebration is an African festival. But we feel that our culture is being preserved when all of the whites, the Chinese, the Syrians, and the French Creoles are making all the money. That's your festival, African people, but you have to go to a bank to get a loan to buy a costume, and you end up poorer after an African liberation festival that whites, Syrians, Chinese, and French Creoles get rich after. But you're talking about cultural appropriation from Michael B. Jordan, an African man. And then our beloved sister, Nicki Minaj, saying he should change the name. And I knew this would happen. I knew this would happen. Because I listened to, well, a number of commentators, but one in particular came out saying, but wait, hold up, Nicki Minaj. You saying Michael B. Jordan is appropriating Trinidad culture? See, but you came from Trinidad to America, and you got rich off black American culture. You see, once we start dividing up us African people into all these sects and tribes and groups, no, that division will destroy us. So what are we saying? That we're not supposed to use or listen to or perform any reggae music because it's from Jamaica? Or the zouk music from the French islands, Martinique and Guadeloupe? We're not supposed to indulge in that? And are we supposed to ban our brothers and sisters in the other Caribbean islands from singing calypso? Other countries do not have their soca monarchs? And what about the pan? Pan factories all in Sweden and Japan. But a black man, and look at it, rum. And let me make it clear, I don't care anything about rum. As far as I'm concerned, we should not be drinking that. That's poison for our people. But even rum, an argument could be crazy that we appropriated that from Barbados. Because in Barbados, they were distilling rum long before we probably even distilled the first drop of rum in this country. And I ask us the question, and be honest. Look at Chinese laundry. All right? A lot of people love Chinese laundry. But Chinese laundry is a Chinese man who made his wealth from playing African music to African people. You, Mr. Trinidadian, sit back, look at that and say, oh, we're all one. We're all Trinis. Here every creed and race finds an equal place. This is rainbow country and is one love. But you have a problem with your own African brother borrowing from your culture. But tell me honestly, can you imagine an African man becoming a DJ and creating wealth from playing Chinese music to Chinese people? Could you even envision that happening? Here we are in Trinidad, Chinese laundry. He plays African music. And who are his audiences? It's not Chinese people who come out to hear African music, or Indian people who come out to hear African music. It's African people listening to African music played by a Chinese man and paying him for playing it to them. So all I'm just asking you a question. Could you see in this country, or any other country for that matter, an African man getting rich from playing Chinese music to Chinese people, and also proudly branding his African identity in doing so? So he calls himself African Laundry. I am DJ African Laundry. I'm playing Chinese music to Chinese people. Come and pay me your big dollars. You know that's ridiculous. You know that would not happen. But because of our lack of consciousness and lack of unity, anyone can appropriate our culture. And the only people we feel uncomfortable with making money is other African people just like ourselves. First rap album, hip-hop music that hit #1 was by white people, the Beastie Boys. First reggae music song to hit #1, Red Red Wine, UB40. White people singing reggae. Jazz music. Look at Kenny G, white man playing black jazz music. Look at all the R&B. From Madonna all the way up to Justin Timberlake, singing black music, making big money off it. And even hard rock music, all the rock music, black pioneers, from Fats Domino, B.B. King, Muddy Waters, of whom Led Zeppelin have copied so much of their music from. And the pioneer of rock music as we know it today, Jimi Hendrix. Look at the band AC/DC. AC/DC is probably the longest running and most consistent rock band in the world. From 1975 all the way up to they brought out an album last year. The guitarist from AC/DC, Angus Young, is a performance protege of Chuck Berry, introducing this duck walk style of playing guitar. And that's as hard rock as you can get. Everything, but our culture is easily appropriated because we don't identify ourselves as a unit or a group. But we will guard the master's property only against others of our own kind. And that's why you see these attitudes with these hampers. I mean, one set of poor people degrading and disrespecting another set of poor people, insulting them for being poor, calling them greedy. No, it's a shame, beloved. It's a shame. And if we want to go down that road about cultural appropriation from Jamaica, or this is Trinidad culture, or that is Barbados crop over, Vincy Mass in St. Vincent, Spice Mass in Grenada, what, so no one else is supposed to borrow from anyone else's cultures? No, but we're all one African people. We could, of course, appreciate the nuances that exist between us, but we're one African people. Don't just feel comfortable with all other ethnic groups making money from our culture, or because we're Trinidadian. So you said, wait, hold on. So because you and the slave master who beat, murdered, tortured, and raped your ancestors, because you born on the same piece of rock as the slave master, that gives him the right to use your culture. Come on, blind people. It's amazing. But as I say, you are the ones who started this conversation on cultural appropriation, not me. I didn't start it. So don't be upset with me when I respond to it. Let's go back to the phone lines. 3420081 and 4665391. Caller, good morning.
Morning again, brother. I wanted to comment on this issue. You brought it across very correct. You brought it across very on the point, and that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you see, that's why the people are mentioning. We need to broaden our consciousness. You see, if it's urine and you're magnetized to, your selfish purposes, and you wouldn't see that broader picture that you presenting there, Brother David. You understand what I'm trying to say? You could imagine how much endorsements. It's a link then. It's a link in the diaspora. That's why I look at it as kind of like an embarrassing thing now, if you understand what I'm saying. I look at it as the spreading out of the African diaspora. That brother, his timing is now. That is a big name. So you can imagine, even if, let me forget the rum, right? But you can imagine at Bungie, at Destra, at Denise Belfort, or somebody, they're doing the advertising. And then they probably buy in and parallel pan on the side of the little emblem or something and buying it and pay some royalty or something. If you understand what I'm saying, it was more developmental and expansive to think in the positive direction rather than in this. And you put it across, the cynicism of it, you put it across very well, Brother David. And you're quite correct. We need to broaden our scope. And I think them artists and them should do a little damage control. All the artists should come together and do a damage control as far as that is concerned.
Yeah, because they're starting to criticize Nicki Minaj now because she's, they're saying, appropriating on American culture. She should have never jumped into that discussion.
Exactly. And the way that, so everybody should put in reverse gear now, link back up to the brother and
work with him. Work with him. Again, I don't care about the rum. You should do some other product as far as I'm concerned.
Imagine we in a little struggle to get the culture globalized. Yeah, we have Michael B. J. Brother, you hear that name? That instantaneous recognition, like how Bungie Garland got recognition in the NDA and stuff like that, and it would be a continuance, and the artists and them would be up there. Anyway.
Thanks a lot, dear brother.
Your perspective. Thanks.
Thank you. Caller, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Brother David.
Good morning to you.
And how are you this day?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Not bad by the master's grace. Now, I just calling to throw in my 2 cents. Now, my 2 cents is that we, as a people, were educated by Dr. William to form ourselves into a cooperative and make ourselves viable. It so happened that we didn't. And today, we are paying that price. Dr. William opened cooperative grocery, cooperative bank. They want us all kind of farms, all in Waterfield, all in Tobago, gave 30 people. Where are they today, Brother David? We go so far as to open something they are called the crash program. Huh? Where is it turned? The people,
well, we know where that is today, right?
The people themselves turned that into something that it had was to stop. Brother David, I feel we need to educate our people more. These people who have the money, all they do is to get the workers to the bone. They care of about us for nothing else. So we have to educate our people like Dr. William did. My people, form yourselves into cooperatives and make yourselves viable and set a pattern.
Come on.
What do you think?
Absolutely, my brother. And, you know, it's like the book of Ezekiel in the Bible, where the dry bones were in the valley, and God sent the prophet to talk to them, to wake them up. And then the prophet went, he spoke to them, they moved, but they laid back down. Then he went again, and then he spoke to them, and they moved a bit. They got up, but they fell back down. And then God said to the prophet, don't talk to them anymore. Let me deal with this now. And it said, and he sent a violent whipping wind. And when they were hit by that whipping wind, they stood up an exceedingly great army. That is what black men must be. Based on the violent whipping winds of these hard times, we must unite and form ourselves into an exceedingly great army, not to destroy each other, but to build one another up and to support all of our community initiatives collectively. And that's what's happening right now. At least we're being whipped by the wind. We have to get organized, beloved.
Look at the station I am. Yesterday, my people just here to come for some free food. You mean to say we showing discipline, gotta go there and climbing on one another bloody back, that they have to stand to stop it?
Well, I hear you. But when I see situations like that, I like to try, might not always be successful, but I like to try to put myself in that situation. And if I had no food and didn't know where that food was coming from, and I'm in a crowd of people and was facing, might not be getting any at all, who knows? If I didn't have the consciousness that I have, I might have climbed over on someone too. Understand? Both you and me together. Right? Both you and me together in that same line. Who knows? If we were under the same circumstances, we just might have done the same thing if we didn't have the consciousness that we have. All right, my brother?
Enough love, my brother.
Yes, blessings. Thank you so much. And listen, on Tuesday is the 80th birth anniversary of Kwame Ture, formerly Stokely Carmichael. And so on Wednesday on Facebook, Wednesday 8 p.m., I'm doing Facebook Live on the Black Agenda Project page, Facebook Live on the life of Kwame Ture, in particular his philosophy. All right. So, look out for that. Caller.
Morning, Brother David.
Good morning.
Yeah. With that rum, I was calling a long time now. With that rum, we got a chance to boost our tourism industry.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that.
Yeah. Exactly.
We got a lot of money out of that rum.
And I think it would have been boosted a lot more if the agreement didn't crash.
And a lot of people was going to come here for Carnival.
Yep. And again, too, I mean, conscious black people like myself and people who raise the issue of, look, if black people start talking about cultural appropriation among other black people, then we have so many cultures. So many cultures. I mean, just reggae music alone, there's probably not one black community in the world that is not influenced by reggae music.
I think now we realize what we have done to ourselves. We miss a big chance there.
Well, there you go, my brother. Thanks a lot. Good morning.
Pleasant good morning, Brother David.
Good morning to you.
Saman from the way.
How you doing?
Brother David, I'm not too well for now, but I'm looking at how things going and I'm observing how people still pulling up to size and things.
Yeah.
For example, this simple thing with this black brother. Mm-hmm. Where was the Minister of Tourism in the middle of all of this?
Who's the current Minister of Tourism again?
I don't know who it is, but where he is.
Well, in fairness, I did hear, young Mr. Manning say, look, we should work with the brother.
Brother David, let me explain something here. In the middle of the same pandemic what the whole world wide going through right now, every time I go on my Facebook account, you're seeing, come to Guyana. If it's not by the river, it's by the other day. They're showing a whole big house on a small island. They're showing you a big waterfall. So if this brother had the idea, we have so much people that is world renowned in Trinidad. Brian Lara, Dwight York. We could have done the commercial marketing, Dwayne Bravo, everybody.
You're right.
So every time he markets a bottle of rum, whether it be in an igloo, whether it be in Tokyo, whether it be in Taiwan, he markets in Trinidad too. And these ministers sitting down on when I tell you, taxpayers' dollars, Brother David, and then people call activists want to call and stand up for these ministers like this, the children. They will always have critics, you know, David. David, they will always have critics, you know. No matter what you choose to do in life, they will always have critics. But you look at simple thing, Sean Paul from Jamaica is ambassador for Jamaica. Sean Paul, I know he's one of the biggest Jamaican artists come out of Jamaica, you know. Jamaica, Sean Paul, I ain't gonna say Sean Paul is the biggest because I mean like Beanie Men and they may open different ways. But they make Sean Paul ambassador. We have the greatest cricketer in the world here. We have Dwight York. We have, look at people who don't know ambassadors say, yes, we the Minister of Tourism could not call his brother and say, here, what's going on? We don't mind you using juvenile. Let me work on a deal. Market your thing in the Caribbean or out of the Caribbean, even out of Trinidad. We are one of the 7 wonders of the world right here, the pitch lake, and nobody, you ever see a commercial or anything with us?
Good point.
What is the marketing strategy to bring back revenue to the country? Apart from Kamla Thief and Rowley doing this and is the best yet, what is the marketing strategy? What is the 2020 beyond plan forward Trinidad and Tobago? We still going to blame Kamla for the 500 million notes that didn't come back in. But nobody not going to blame Rowley for pointing in place so that it can't happen again. We're going to still do the back and forth in 2021, 2022, 2023, going up the road? Or we going to change this whole system and open the eyes and start to work forward? Let me start to do things to bring revenue to the country. Let me start to open avenues. Because this would have been a viable source of business.
Yeah.
Just how these Americans had the home movie shows and things. We could have just do a tour to Trinidad. Angus Sura could have been doing new production for him. Check avenues, check how much different ways he could have done this. But because of the critics again, they take the majority. But David, but it's sad to see in 2021 days what we're going through, but it's sad.
Well, brilliant contribution, brother. Brilliant contribution.
Brother David, if these brothers and them, all these people we're talking, get a child $100 to go in the shop to buy a bottle of oil, and they come back and say, Daddy, look, $10 change. Brother David, they had to account for the rest of the 90 where it's going, you know. But these ministers playing with billions of dollars and they don't want to give account for it, spend. Just know that they're doing the best for me. That is it. Brother David, it's sad, boy. It's sad in this time, boy.
Thanks a lot, caller. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Brilliant contribution. Thanks a million. And you mentioned Guyana there a short while ago. The government of Guyana has just done something very, very questionable in barring our people from Haiti from coming into Guyana. It's an issue that has raised a lot of anger among conscious people, but apparently Cuba as well. So Haiti and Cuba, you know, in the name of the whole pandemic. But we've seen that discrimination against Haitians before, and we condemn it. Caller, good morning.
Glory and praises the Most High.
Blessings.
Strength and blessings to PNC.
Yes, sir.
And all that dwell therein. So we get in showers of blessings, man.
Now?
It's an honor. You know your blessing is your blessing.
And no one can change that.
So my blessings must come forward.
Yes, sir.
So we're going with the autonomy of Trinidad and Tobago want autonomy. That's a work on that very seriously. that separation would not be very, very mild, you know. We'd have to do a lot of work, you know. It's so long it's been in the make chance. So, I want chance for Coach Joe and my boy, what do you call him? Dennis. Get down to nitty-gritty with the Duke and the next one called Rally. And make it happen, you know. And do play all you want to lead, say that there. I tell you now, Leo. Rastafari, my brethren. They can't run. They could run, but they can't hide.
Yes, sir.
That's that.
Thank you. Caller, good morning.
Yes, I'm in again.
Ah, yes.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Yes. Now, all these people who you call about, you know, our music that they are playing and marketing, doing a terrible, terrible imitation of it, like the Madonnas and all the names that you call, a terrible imitation of it, and they're raking in millions. Chinese Laundry came into this art form and made a mess of it. Started a mafia business going on there with our music. Before Chinese Laundry, it didn't have that. Rootsman wrote a calypso about it. And he's there raking and we happy. It's a tiny man. And when you see anybody else beating pan, oh, you see how he beat it as a big deal. African people lost their lives, lost their dignity for pan. But it just, Tony Williams, I mean, it didn't have what that man didn't do in the early stages of pan. A genius, a brilliant man. How much do you hear of Tony Williams? But you hear about every other Johnny come lately. If you see them from another ethnicity, better yet. But, I mean, this thing about the rum, my position is like yours with rum. I am not advocating rum.
Yeah.
But it's a no-brainer. You don't even have to say all of that. I mean, it is so nice to know that these people are connected, and sometimes when you dig, you scratch the surface. They have West Indian roots and all of that, and we see it. But Nicki Minaj, oh, well, because of talent, probably she's not on the forefront anyway. She has people, as long as you can expose your body a little bit more, they would have you there. And so she needs a platform to go and say she's fighting a cause, but I don't think that was appropriate. That man knowing that it's a Juve rum, that is a no-brainer. That it, just by itself, it feels good. You know, to know that he's in tune with our culture and our situation. The Minister of Tourism should contact him and say, listen.
Remind me who the Minister of Tourism is again, please.
Who's he?
I remember it was. It's not Randall Mitchell. Randall Mitchell was in housing. Shamfa Kudrow was there, but she's in sport.
Yes, I know that.
And Brian Manning. It's not Brian Manning, is it? I don't think so.
Whomever it is, contact this guy and say, listen, let's do something to promote your rum, and you're promoting. Every time they say Juve rum, it's carnival that they're promoting. So what is that? How can you attack somebody like that? Anyways,
okay, so it is Randall Mitchell, right? So he went from housing to tourism, right?
Yes.
But I didn't hear much from him on the conversation.
But I think that's what he should do.
Yeah.
But anyways, coming back now to our people and you know, you made a remark there what the Creator gives to us, and without any fanfare, and that's the people that we are. Taking into consideration that all is going on, and if you shouldn't be hot in your head to say, well, you having any hardships with your school down there, with your academy, you should not be having any hardships. We have to move as how we know to move in our discreet fashion, and you should not be experiencing any hardships. I used to see my father do it as a child growing up, go on and visit people in the country and so on, where he was down there. And every family home he go to, discreetly. And this is the people that we are. So all of a sudden now, you should not be experiencing any hardships in your school must be made like a shining beacon. But anyways, you see, and then you touched on, brother, about the government always looking to the countries that are worse off than us. To say, well, listen, look, we have it good because that's X, Y, and Z. and that is so true. But that is something that's a norm on all the radio stations. They just get the most minute of people in our society, and that's all they talk about every day, and bash African people.
Yep.
And we are the ones who committing crime. They intend on making the African youth with the pants sagging the face of crime in this country, when it is so wrong. I mean, there are so many Africans doing well in Trinidad, all over the world, but that's all they do day in, day out. Bash African people and talk about the young men who talk in the gun and the robbing and the this and the that. A minute
Over sensationalization.
Huh?
Over sensationalization.
Over sensationalizing.
Yeah.
But it's getting a bit much. No, man. Not
But
every day, that's all they do.
Yeah.
So, brother, you keep that beacon shining down there at that school. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
we
much.
have to ensure that. Thank you.
All right. Caller, good morning.
Let me say good morning to you. Good morning.
Good morning.
And I'm thanking the caller who called in passionate, saying that if they give the children $100 to go in the store and they come back with $10, they want that count. They want to know what snack the children buy. So I want to say to you, my brother, may the African God bless you. Not being an African PM, but being an African conscious in this country. So may the African God bless you wherever you are. But Mohammed, I wouldn't call in here to get in the mud because I the only person. When I call in on your program, there's a lady that target me. Think we come on the program to talk about UNC, but anybody else I could call in and talk on politics on your program. But once I call in on this program, that's why I know this. That's why I direct, because things they have the areas I don't have to call you. I will leave all the PM to call you. If you all the PM call you, I will go to the party. I don't have a problem with that, because if they feel that, if they feel because I is the lone ranger and all this, because I now listen to a certain man now he have 50 minutes about things, okay, who get things to work about things about.
Wait, when was that?
Mr. Paul Swin.
No. I didn't ask to identify anyone. I said, when was that?
Okay. On your program, really, I have the tape. I was taping it. I have the tape. I was taping it because
did he call your name?
I am. This is talk show program. Okay.
Now I'm asking a question. Did he call your name?
Huh?
Did he call your name?
But he referred that I was coming by you and you already saying that.
But he didn't call your name.
Nobody don't have to call my name for me to know me talking about. Somebody has to call your name for them to know you're talking about. But if I just thinking, I am understand. But
no, but
if it's
okay. Now I'm sympathetic towards the concern, right? I am. But if
would he call back in again?
No, but if
legal letter.
Right, but if your name was not called and he was speaking about a situation that you may have been involved in.
I was involved in a situation.
No, but but I'm making the point. But if he didn't call your name, then it's difficult to say that he was attacking you.
No, okay, you with that. I can say that, Mr. Mohammed, because I know who he's speaking about. Because every day he has one record over and over. And to them, I'm waiting on the legal letter. I have made the Indian lawyer.
Yeah, but if he did not call you by name, then the legal letter wouldn't stand, would it?
But tell him that. Tell me that for me now. Because I'm waiting to back to him to go and contact him because I learned from Gladiator. I get to contact him. So I'm waiting for him.
But he didn't call your name.
Huh? No, he didn't call my name.
Right, so I don't think suing arises at all if he did not identify you by name.
But Mohammed, or I tell you, gentleman, I am waiting for my legal letter. I have clothes and I have an East Indian lawyer on standby. I can do contact.
What's the significance of an East Indian lawyer?
Huh?
What is the
Because
significance
the
of
more-
an East Indian lawyer?
They do more promo than the African laws in this country. And like Ramesh,
You mean pro bono?
and like Ramesh and Anil Ramlogan and Jared Ramdeen, who stand up for the vendors on Charlotte Street. Many cases that Ramdeen and Jared Ramdeen and
So it's a
Ramesh
pro bono
and
case.
Anil Ramlogan.
So it's a pro bono case that you'll be the beneficiary of.
Excuse?
So is it a pro bono case that you're?
Yes, I have no money. I have no money, Brother Mohammed. I have no money. But somebody is going to help me because Brother Mohammed.
all right. Well, listen, I would rather mediate between you two brothers rather than you hire an East Indian lawyer to do pro bono work.
Okay. But
All right.
Brother Mohammed, people will always have a problem with me because I'm questioning the black leader. I have no problem with nobody, you know. Because if Kamala Passan come back there tomorrow, Kingsley going to question her. Kingsley going to ask question the same because in 2015, I mean from 2010 to 2020, I mean to 2015, Kingsley asked questions about the partnership. I asked questions about the partnership. I take night and day on radio station to bring down the partnership.
All right.
So I don't play games, Brother Mohammed. Just tell them to leave me alone, and I will tell them nothing, Brother Mohammed. Just leave Kingsley alone.
All right.
My mission here, Brother Mohammed.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You made your point strongly, and,
Thank you
and
very much.
I do hope that some kind of reconciliation could be formed between the two of you. I have often, especially within recent times, tried to compare and contrast the Pandey versus Manning era to the Prasad Bissessa versus Rowley era. And I think now there's a whole lot more cross-referencing than there's ever been before, with the mentioning of those two individuals by each other, against each other. Yes, Mr. Pandey and Mr. Manning were rivals, no doubt, but I don't think they used to refer to each other as much as it is done now. Definitely not during the, say, George Chambers versus A.N.R. Robinson era. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Brother David.
Good morning to you, Gemma.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
wow. How you doing?
I'm trying to get on to you.
Oh, boy.
Yes. How you going?
I'm great, thank you. I'm really great. It's great to hear from you as
The
well.
whole morning I listen, but I didn't get through. But I say, I wonder if I'll get through before 9. But that I get through. Have a blessed one.
Yes, thanks so much. Remember, I asked you about Jimi Hendrix a couple months ago, right?
Yes, Brother David.
Right, and see his name came up again this morning, so there you go. But thank you. Thanks, Gemma. Thanks for calling in. Always great to hear from you. The countdown is on. Caller, good morning.
Hi, morning, David.
Good morning.
I'm real calm down now. But I just wanted to address it. Now, one thing Kingsley said with his emotional outburst is he's correct about the pro bono work. Let's be real about it. There are hardly African people that do
Yeah, but if you get in millions of dollars from the state in briefs, then you'll be in a better position to do pro bono work, not so?
Well, no, I that's correct. But my thing is, even so, we must come into play where even lawyers make their name with simple cases that they try pro bono, and the base doesn't always have to be millions of dollars. It can be that, and that's the whole thing about it. That in the forefront of people who do it are people of East Indian descent, and it's a real talk. My thing is, I don't really concentrate on that as a contribution. My thing is that's what I always tell you. How do we drive it behind the scenes quietly to African organizations that have meaningful contribution in relation to our development outside of government? We're not getting that.
Yeah.
So you have we have a lot of contribution at this point. I'm very close to the end. And it's about, if you see African people in a line for trying to get hampered, is the government poor because African people are poor?
Yeah, but I have to thank you so much for your contribution. That is a conversation that we have to continue. But I'll be on IWER TV tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock and then Facebook Live on Wednesday. I'm doing it from 8 o'clock now, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. on Facebook.com/Black Agenda Project. Let's stay strong, people. Let's stay united. Let's stay conscious. Stay tuned to the Street 919 FM. And may Almighty God, Allah, continue to bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
They won't understand.